Think you know Chuck Norris? Think again. Just last month, on Flight QF-127, an arrogant businessman made a huge mistake. He insulted the legendary martial artist himself. And what happened next on that flight? It'll show you a side of Chuck Norris that few have ever witnessed. But before we get into it, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. It all started at Sydney International Airport, December 2024. As Chuck Norris walked through the first-class cabin of the Los Angeles-bound flight, his worn boots and leather vest caught a few curious glances. His famous face? Partially hidden under that signature cowboy hat. Quietly, he took his seat, 6A. And that's when the shouting began. "Hey, poor man, this is my seat. Get the hell out." Derek Langston stood there in the aisle, his tailored navy suit matching the vein pulsing in his forehead. He was already on edge, fresh from a disastrous business deal that had cost him millions. And now, he'd found a new target for his frustration, though he had no idea who he was talking to. Chuck looked up with that signature calm smile. "Afternoon, partner. Mind if we check those tickets?" Derek's face turned red. "Check the tickets? Look at you. Clearly, you wandered in from economy. First class isn't for people like you." Chuck reached for Derek's ticket. And that's when everything changed. With a slow, deliberate motion, he turned the ticket right side up, making a few passengers stifle their laughter. Derek's seat wasn't 6A, it was 9A. "I don't care what the ticket says." Derek spat. "Someone like you can't afford first class. What did you do, sell your ranch to buy this tickets?" The flight attendant stepped in. "Sir, your seat is. Do you know who I am?" Derek cut her off. "I'm Derek Langston, CEO of Langston Enterprises." His voice cracked slightly. The morning's financial news had been brutal. A $50 million deal had collapsed right in his face. Chuck simply adjusted his hat. "Sometimes, life has a way of teaching us humility, Mr. Langston." Derek let out a sharp, mocking laugh. "Humility? I built my empire from nothing. I won't be lectured about success by some cowboy who probably counts his money in quarters." Chuck's eyes met Derek's. "You might want to count again, partner." And with those words, something shifted in the cabin. "Try thousands per roundhouse kick," Chuck said quietly, his Texas drawl carrying through the air. Derek's face twisted with rage. "Listen here, you worthless piece of..." He caught himself as a mother covered her child's ears. "First class is for successful people, not some wannabe cowboy who thinks dressing like it's rodeo day makes him special." Chuck stood. Slowly. Even in that relaxed stance, there was something about his presence. Powerful. Two flight attendants exchanged knowing looks. Every movement he made carried the grace of a martial arts master, though Derek was too angry to notice. "Success isn't measured by the suit you wear, partner," Chuck said, his voice calm but firm. "Sometimes, it's measured by how you treat others when no one's watching." Derek laughed again, but it sounded nervous. "Oh, spare me the cowboy wisdom. What do you know about success? Your boots probably cost less than my watch strap." That's when a young boy tugged on his mother's sleeve, eyes wide. She quickly pulled out her phone, typing frantically. Realization spread through the cabin fast. "You might want to check your social media, friend," Chuck said, settling back into his seat. "Seems today's business news about Langston Enterprises is making quite the stir." Derek's face went pale. The failed Sydney deal. How did this stranger know? His company's stock was in freefall. His biggest client had walked away just hours ago. And now, this cowboy was bringing it up. Who are you?" Derek's voice wavered. Chuck just smiled. That same knowing smile that had intimidated countless opponents in the ring. Just someone who learned that real power isn't about putting others down. And then, the whispers started. A teenage girl in row 4 gasped, showing her phone to her parents. The wave of recognition spread fast. Derek was about to learn exactly who he'd been insulting. Panic set in. Desperate, he raised his voice again. "Security. Can someone call security? This man refuses to move to his proper seat in economy." The head flight attendant approached, barely hiding her smile. "Sir, I've checked the manifest. Mr. Norris is indeed assigned to seat 6A, prime." Mr. Norris. Derek's breath caught in his throat. An older man across the aisle leaned forward. Son, you've been yelling at Chuck Norris for the past 10 minutes. The color drained from Derek's face. The worn boots. The confident stance. The martial arts reference. It all clicked. That's impossible, Derek stammered. Chuck's eyes twinkled. Like what, partner? Like someone who values comfort over appearance? Like someone who doesn't need a fancy suit to know his worth? By now, every passenger was grinning. Phones were out. Derek's worst nightmare was about to go viral. Mr. Norris, I didn't. Derek's designer tie suddenly felt like a noose. Chuck just pointed towards seat 9A. Your seat's right back there, partner. Unless, of course, you'd prefer economy. Laughter rippled through the cabin. But Chuck wasn't done. As Derek turned to leave, Chuck's next words stopped him cold. You know the difference between strength and power? Derek froze. Something about Chuck's voice made him listen. Chuck Norris was about to teach him a lesson that would change his life forever.